of women in particular. And I think men on some level as well, because men resist things in a different way. Women will flat out be like, I'm not selling myself. I don't want to, I don't want to be, and it's usually in response to conversation about dating apps, right? I don't want to sell myself. Whereas I think men resist it in the way that they're just bad at it, like taking the bad pictures and, what they put in their profile is sometimes unworkable and, being sexual too quickly. I think that's their form of resistance to marketing myself, right? Showing up whole. How do you feel about it? Like as a marketer and someone who's going on a dating journey, like how do you frame it for yourself? So you guys know how modern dating is a dumpster fire. And there is a toxic stereotype that educated professional women of color are not marriage material. Well, I'm the one that they call when they want to stop internalizing the toxicity and get their greatest love of all time without sacrificing their passions, purpose, or personality. Hey, sweet babies, I'm Candace, and let me tell you that I have been where you are. For years, I was unhappy about my love life and trying to achieve society's idea of a romantic relationship. My families, the churches, the millions of romance novels that I read throughout high school, none of which got me anywhere but unhappy with my love life. Basically, it took abuse, grief, and even homelessness for me to learn how to let go of control and be guided to transform my love life. I broke free from those struggle love cycles and created a love life that I love, that loves me back. I got my gloat, my greatest love of all time, and now I'm here to help you do the same. So I want you to join me on a journey from feeling disappointed in your relationship history to madly in love, from broken and guarded to whole and happy. I'm here every week, sometimes like today, with amazing guests. But I don't want you to just watch and listen. I want you to engage. We talk a lot here, so you got to get in where you fit in, but this is a conversation. So if you're watching, you have something to say, please, by all means, comment. If we can see your comment, we'll respond. If for whatever reason we can't, we'll come back later and interact with you. But I want to introduce you to my guest. So her name is Leilani Wells, and she's the creator of the Get Seen method for marketing and visibility. She's going to talk about that today. She's going to share that with us today. I'm very excited because we're going to do an explorative conversation around marketing and dating and how they relate or overlap, or if they overlap, what we think about that. But Leilani is a visibility and marketing strategist specializing in social media marketing, video content experiences, and getting you seen, both online and offline. So we're definitely going to dive into that. And using her signature visibility process, Get Seen, she helps innovators and entrepreneurs amplify their visibility and become known as the go-to expert so that they can grow their impact and their income. She's a marketing maven and a genius and my newest online friend, and she's joining us today. Let me bring her on stage.
Hey.
Hello, my love.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I know that we're like rushing, and then you're rushing in. I want to make sure that your sound is okay. Make sure that you don't have an echo. You want to do like a test, say hello to everybody and see if you hear yourself.
Am I echoing anyone? Am I echoing? I have a new laptop.
Okay.
So yeah, my whole setup is not the same today. So how does it sound for you? Do you hear an echo?
It sounds fantastic.
Okay, same for me. So I'm good to go.
Awesome. Yay. Yeah. Well, welcome, love. I'm so glad that you could join us today.
I really appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, I love that we didn't plan this. We've got the red lips happening.
Well, we're talking about dating and getting seen, so who knows who's watching right now?
Right?
I had to put my red lippy on.
You just never know.
You never know.
So I want us to like jump into this conversation. As we were saying when we did sort of our pre-chat, like the idea here is, well, for one thing, you're the marketing Get Seen expert. And that's one place where I struggle, right? Like with my marketing, getting my brand seen, getting out there. And, it's something that I'm on a journey of working on. Part of the reason, that I was attracted to you and what you do. And I was like, this is interesting what she's talking about. And then I'm the one who's all about love. And if I can share, you posted not too long ago that you're putting yourself out there for dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I figured this would be a good conversation where we could be really explorative and be in creation around, how does marketing and dating overlap? If it does at all, if there are interesting things that we can, like nuggets we can give people around it, or for people who think I don't want to market myself or sell myself, like
Mhm.
what are some things that we can create around that?
I love that. I love that. Intention keeps coming to mind to me already, just so you know. I just want to kind of slide that word in there because I
I
think
love that
it,
word.
yeah, I think it's important for both.
Yeah,
Mhm.
intention. All right, now,
Mhm.
before we get into that, we're gonna hold on to
Mhm.
intention because that's one of my
Mhm.
favorite words too. Tell us about Get Seen and how that what your trajectory was into what you do now, and, tell people what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think the shortest way to really share it is I wanted to create the opportunity for a lifestyle for others that I wanted for myself in conjunction. So, there's so much I know about being visible. And I have a background, very extensive background in different ways that pertain to that background in sales and marketing and all of these things. So when social media really got going years back, when MySpace and Facebook and all of that, was just like kind of at the beginning,
Yeah.
I wanted to have more time with my son. As a single mother, I was working quite a bit. And then I just seemed to never really feel like I could catch up unless I was taking more time away from my time with
Mhm.
him and
Yeah.
just being a mom and being like, I would love nothing more than being a mother and a housewife and all that more than anything that I do. Right. And so I
Yeah.
just felt like I'm never going to be able to have those things if I don't find a way to be home already. So social media really was something that I caught on to before a lot of my peers that already were in business. They weren't seeing it the way I saw it. Like, this is a way you could be in front of multiple people all at
Yeah.
once and really gain your time back. And so I started just really building a following, and then people started coming to me, and then that's how, like, fast forward to now, how I do a lot of things surrounding Get Seen. I do content experiences, I have a Get Seen membership, all of these things to help other people understand how to really maximize their exposure across all the different avenues, all the platforms,
Yeah.
offline, just picking up your phone, talking to people. I mean, even some people, send a letter in the mail. Nobody does that anymore, right? Just think outside the box and let's talk
Yeah.
strategy, not what this person or that person is doing.
Yeah.
And then you can really begin to gain your time back. And I wanted people to be able to do that, have time, you know, outside of their business. So when they're in their business, there's joy again.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I love that. So let me ask you this. When you first started, you said that you were working with social media and things like that. Did you naturally already know how to approach it? Because one of my things about social media, I've just learned, how it seems to be more effective the more authentic I am. I used to, because
Mhm.
I come from the world of like presentation and used to be a performer. And so, you always have to be coiffed and everything perfect and everything in place. And was it something that you immediately, like right off the bat, like, I'm really good at this social media stuff, so let me start to utilize it?
I mean, a couple of different things about me, and the way my personal life experiences have lent to this is,
Mhm.
ever since I have a memory as a 3-year-old, just knowing a knowingness inside me that I trusted. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people trust and look outward for answers more so than inward. And for me, when I saw the results of trusting within myself really, really young, I held on to that. I didn't let that go that
Mhm.
easily. And then the other thing too is I've been really essentially been taking care of myself quite a bit since I was 14. I officially moved out of the house when I was 17 and started leaving when I was 15 and working a job and doing all these things. So by having to survive as a teenager in really wild circumstances and situations, naturally I became resilient and understanding of where other people were coming from and where I was coming from, and having
Yeah.
to really be vulnerable and transparent in situations where maybe I wouldn't want to be, like, because if I need a place to stay, for instance, one night at a friend's house, talking to a parent, telling the truth, who knows, right? Or if
Mhm.
I need to keep myself safe, like how I got to read the room. So I have a lot of these life experiences where it's like it trumps my college degree tenfold. Like,
Yeah,
college
yeah,
degree didn't really do that much for me, but say something to people that need to see you have one.
yeah,
Other than that, my life experiences have really been something that I've taken and shared with other people. Look, it's really not that serious to talk to people. It
yeah,
really isn't. If you have a fear running in your head, they likely have one running in theirs too, no matter who they are, how high up they are. So just have a conversation and get out there.
Yeah, I mean, that right there is like dating advice 101, right? That's one of those marketing pieces. Like, if that's who you're showing up as on social media, it's the same thing with dating, right? Just have a
Mhm.
conversation and get out there.
Get out
So,
there.
what are your thoughts and feelings when it comes to the idea of, because I talk to women all the time, speaking of having conversations, and I know that for a lot of women in particular, and I think men on some level as well, because men resist things in a different way, women will flat out be like, I'm not selling myself. I don't want to, I
Mhm.
don't want to be, and it's usually in response to conversation about dating apps, right? I don't want to sell myself. Whereas I think men resist it in the way that they're just bad at it, like taking the bad pictures, and what they put in their profile is sometimes unworkable, and being sexual too quickly. I think that's their form of resistance to marketing myself, right? Showing up
Mhm.
whole. How do you feel about it? Like as a marketer and someone who's going on a dating journey, like how do you frame it for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, for me, so I actually am going to start dating in January. So I want to
Okay.
be at my best self, right? So I started working out again. I started really paying attention to my health. I started really like trying to put things in compartments where, okay, I can't do this at this time because this is designated for that. Because when you start dating, someone's going to need more of your time and they deserve that, right?
Mhm.
So you can't be as all over the place as I still kind of am a little bit, right? So someone came in my thread the other day and it was like, "Whoa, you can start dating anytime." I was like, "No, I can, but I care about that experience deeply. I'm dating for a purpose, so and that's what I mean about intentionality. It's like, what purpose are you dating for? It's cool if you're dating and just kick it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And part of why I am dating is to kind of relearn myself and make sure, like, see what I like. So it is like not sleeping around, it's dating. It's like, okay, you go and you see, oh, I like this, I like that, I like to go out to eat, I like to hike, what do I like now, at 44, right? In the
Yeah.
time and space I'm in now. And I think everyone, when they're dating and they're considering like marketing, they need to really go inside and understand themselves first. And also when
Mhm.
you talk about how some people feel like, oh, I shouldn't have to put myself, or I shouldn't. We need to, if you want something badly, maybe you should humble yourself a little bit. Like, yes, you do get seen. Like, you do have to put in work, man or
Yeah.
woman. We all have to put in work. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I like, what do you want? You want someone who's sloppy and they don't put in the work, then that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I
Yeah.
feel about all of that. And yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I tried to kind of dip my toes back in the dating field a little while back, but I was taking it too serious. And so
Mhm.
this time around, I'm gonna be a little bit more playful about it and just have fun with it. Have
Yeah,
fun with it.
which
Yeah.
I think is a beautiful thing, and I think that parallels with, what you mentioned about intentionality, right? Like, I'm gonna just have fun with it, because I think the reason that people resist is because, we think in terms of selling, like that selling is the thing, like, that I'm somehow trying to convince someone that I'm worthy, or convince that I'm better than the last person that they met, or, I
Yeah.
think it's the framing of it, right? Don't you think
Mhm.
so?
Oh, absolutely. You know what's funny when you talk about convincing in sales? Like, sales is like, the best salespeople don't convince.
Right?
One of my
Talk
really
about
good
that.
friends this morning sent me a Myron Golden YouTube video about
Mhm.
how he doesn't convince when he sells. It's like, take it or leave it, right? And
Yeah.
that's how everything should be. If you lay all your cards out on the table, let someone else be discerning and figure out what they do or don't like. If they don't like you, they don't like you how you are, because they're gonna find out who you are down the road. So
Right?
like, you know what I mean? You can't hide it for that long.
Yeah.
Like, do you like the fact that I watch too much reality TV? Which I don't, but still, like, just an example.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And you do wanna know, like, I agree with you. I think sometimes, we come up against not wanting to deal with the rejection, but rejection, the earlier rejection happens, the bigger the favor that it is, right? Like,
Mhm.
you don't want someone who if you're allowing them to see who you really are, you don't want someone who doesn't like those parts of you, because that's going to
Mhm.
be the part that they're going to come up against and try to change and be
Yeah.
fighting you on, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So personal brand identity. Let's talk about that. Like, I feel like I want people to walk away. Okay, so
Mhm.
let me just yeah, structure it out so it makes sense. I think in terms of like, let's say Beyonce. Beyonce's Beyonce, and she's who she is with her husband, and then she's Sasha Fierce, like she's Sasha Fierce on stage. So in her work, she's this big personality, and I would imagine at home, her personality may be big, but it's who she really is at her core. So
Mhm.
like I'm thinking in terms of like brand identity, like my brand, who am I as a person and how to resolve that with who I am. Because I used to think that dating was about presenting, right? Presenting
Mhm.
yourself. And then, the people who love me and know me, they get to see the real me, which I
Yeah.
learned that that doesn't work. Like it's you're the real you wherever you are, if you really
Mhm.
want to connect with somebody worthy, right?
Yeah.
But talk to me about like your identity and how do you separate it, or do you feel like it's something that is a holistic kind of thing? And how do you as a marketer even like resolve that in your mind?
Like, as far as, like, how do I be myself in market or in like, ask me that in a different way if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. So like, what does that look like if I'm someone who feels like, even just with code switching, if I'm someone who feels like I got to be
Mhm.
one way in one place and
Mhm.
another way in another place,
Yeah.
how do you feel like we resolve that we can be exactly who we are everywhere? Like how
Mm.
do we
Got it, got it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think with anything that we do, we need to allow people to see some of our essence shine through in it. Our essence can be felt, and that's just really energetic. And
yeah,
so um, we get to figure out like what kind of spaces we want to be in more so than we used to. We used to have to really take what we got. Now there are more ways for us to use discernment on where we want to position ourselves. Like I knew I wanted to be on this podcast with you. I could feel your essence and who you were, and how you would take care of me and what kind of audience you would put me in front of. I could feel all of that, right? I
yeah,
don't I don't know everything about you, but you allowed your essence to really be shown. And I think that there are ways that we can decide how much people get to see of ourselves. And that starts with us deciding like where we go and where we position ourselves. Because we don't have to go places we don't feel like are
sure.
safe or good or fun or whatever, like things we don't want to feel. We just trust ourselves, and then we can show more of it. And I
Mhm.
think when it comes to marketing and dating and all of that, um, people get to know us over time. Just like with marketing, one post isn't a sale. Someone needs to see you over and over and over again in different ways, which is why I talk about plastering yourself everywhere using AI and tools and all these systems that I do with people. It's
Yeah,
not as simple as one post.
yeah,
People aren't as trusting after COVID and everything we went through, and people know the games. So
yeah,
we have to create these environments and enter into these environments where we feel like we can show our essence, so that people will do business with us or date us or whatever after everything society has been through and we've been through.
yeah. So
Mhm.
what I'm hearing is that it's there's a level of looking for the safer spaces where you feel like you can be 100% yourself.
Mhm.
Like express your essence. So I have a comment from Kaisha. She says, "How do we deal with our feelings when impromptu ghosting happens?" I think she was talking about when we were saying about the early rejection. For
Yeah.
example, I was vibing with a man and tried to set up a time to meet one day. I had plans in the evening, but I offered time in the afternoon. I didn't receive a response, even though we were texting back and forth. It's been a week since that last text, and I haven't reached out. So she's saying, how do we deal with the feeling? How do we deal with the feelings of that? I mean, I think it goes to what we were saying. Um, eh, and we're going to dive into it even more, intention, right? So
Mhm.
Kaisha, like I feel like when it comes to interacting with people, early dating, and you can think about what you feel about it as well, Leilani. When our intention is to have a long-term relationship, or the intention is to have a commitment, when someone ghosts in the midst of conversation, it's okay to allow yourself to feel that little bit of rejection, that little sting of rejection for a moment. But you always want to be able to tell yourself, What I'm committed to, what I'm intentional about, is somebody who wouldn't ghost, somebody who wants to be in conversation with me, somebody who's down for, making plans and collaborating our lives and creating the vision that I have in mind. And so someone who would just drop off is just not that person. And so take care of yourself around the sting of rejection and love on yourself around rejection, but also be willing to talk to yourself and remind yourself what you're committed to, like what your intention is around it. What comes up for you, Leilani, with that?
I love that. Words, resilience and gratitude, yeah, because for me, I'm grateful for that kind of early on communication, that was had early on. It's like, okay, that's not okay for me. Even that. So, but I also, I would say share with her to communicate as well, how you want to be communicated with and to, because a lot of people have, in this multi-generational dating space we live in, like for me, I could go up or down in dating, right? I could date someone as old as 50 and as young as 29, I'm 44, who knows like how high or low I could go, right?
Yeah.
And so like those are different dating experiences. And so nobody really knows how they're supposed to date anymore. And so like having that conversation of what your expectation is for communication, like, hey, like I expect to have a phone call even. Like for me, I don't like the texting back and forth unless it's like quick, this and that. Like we get to talk on the phone if we're getting to know each other for sure.
Yeah. No, I
Yes.
like that. I do think that there is something to be said for being able to stand in your desires without attachment, right? Being able to say that this is what I like. And I think it's a balance between that, being able to say what you like, and also knowing that your goddess energy says, I'm not going to be in a convincing or an arguing with you about it, right? Like, this is what will have my attention. And I think the best way to do that, oftentimes we think that you have to, I believe in communication, that you have to say everything. But I feel like with early dating, it's really just what you're willing to give your energy to, especially when you don't know someone well. I feel like if you're someone who prefers phone calls and you say something like, I'd love a phone call, and they're down for the phone call, engage in it, enjoy it, and love it. And if they're not, it gets no energy. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it
I
gets no,
do.
yeah. Like I feel like that's one of the best ways, especially for women, to communicate early on, as you're getting to know someone and dating, is to just really be very, very focused on what you do want and giving that your energy. And if it's anything you don't want, it gets no energy whatsoever.
None. None whatsoever.
No begging, no like, where were you? Why didn't you text me? Why didn't you?
None.
None of that. Like
None.
I'm on to something else. I'm on to living my life. And it doesn't mean that I don't think that we should walk around unforgiving, where it's like, oh, you didn't call me, forget this,
Yeah.
I'm not
No
talking to
way.
you. Right. But if they, let's say they go, a few days too long and they haven't called, like, and then they call or then they text or whatever, it's about giving it exactly what your intuition, what your gut tells you as far as your response to it, because they might come with the, oh, I'm so sorry, this or this and that happened. Now I can choose to be in my non-forgiving, like, well, whatever, I don't care, you should have got it together, right? Which is one way to be. If I'm that way too many times and I'm still alone, or I could be in the, I totally get
Yeah.
that. But there was a few days that went by and I was thinking you weren't interested anymore. So what you're basically telling them is that you're starting from zero here, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I feel like and this is so sexy when a man is like this. I feel like men, like, they are so attentive to figuring out everything that you desire, need, and want, and little things about you that you don't even know when they want you. When they know they want you, you'll be like, damn, like they did this and this, and I didn't even know I wanted that. And it is just like, oh, and then you just like throw yourself on, just like, oh, and they're like, so if a man is not coming at you like that, it's like, okay, well, just let them say bye and move on, because they're not interested, because men they see stuff. We think we see stuff. They are observers. You
Yes.
know, they are, especially like the real like masculine ones. You know, they watch, they listen, they hear
Yeah.
things you don't even know you needed to work on, or doing well or not, or whatever. They know this stuff when they are
Yeah.
after a woman that they desire, and
Yes.
they will make these little tweaks and stuff. And so, like, for me, it's a lot easier for me to discern, because if I can see, oh, he's not doing that with me, well, he's just not that into me, and that's okay. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah,
okay. Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
Or, he's just not that into me, or whatever's going on with him, he's not in a strength energy, right? Which
Exactly.
that's okay too.
Time
Like
and
if he
space
wants to
is
pray,
wrong.
yeah,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
that's okay too. And I
Mhm.
love that you're saying that, because I feel like it's something as women that we really have to start giving our permission to be. Like it doesn't mean that you're rejecting or mean because you just let someone be who they're being and go on
Yeah.
about your business. Right. And
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that you've done the wrong thing because you haven't done, I think as women, when we want something to work, we try to do every possible thing we can think of to make it work. But, that doesn't work when we say that the intention is to have someone who is engaged and loving and committed. And
Mhm.
like you said, when they want it, it's so easy because they will make it as easy as possible because they want to make
Mhm.
sure that they get what they want.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, Kaisha, she says, thank you for these self-exploration reminders. I agree with it all. Right. No energy to negative feelings. Thank you for putting that out there and asking that question, Kaisha,
Right?
'cause it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right.
Mhm.
So, okay, if we think of like get seen tenants, right? Like
Mhm.
the basic things that you tell your clients around, like, not necessarily just the specific steps, but sort of the basic mindset steps that have
Mhm.
you getting out there and getting seen. What are some, and let's talk about how they could parallel with dating,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like, what are some of the main
Right.
things that you're like, this is what you got to do around getting
Okay.
seen?
So, well, you got to get in front of a camera.
Yeah.
In more ways than one for both, right? You got to get in front of the
Right.
camera.
Wait,
And
that's a good. Let's sit on that one for a second,
yeah.
because the getting in front of the camera, I feel like that's one of those things that in this day and age, you're so right. Even for dating, it's a tool and it's a mechanism. When I was matchmaking, we would match people during COVID on a Zoom,
Mhm.
right? So talk about that, like the getting in front of a camera. If I'm somebody who's like, ugh, that's the last thing I want to do, but it's effective, right? Like, what would you tell a client if they were like, I don't really want to get in front of the camera? Like,
Well,
that's
you
not
know
me.
what's so interesting is there are so many business owners that are so successful,
Yeah.
and they like I mean, so successful that don't want to get in front of a camera. So it's internal stuff.
Yeah.
And, I've been talking about this a little bit here and there recently, but I talk about it a lot with people individually that I work with. So basically, we are told a lot of things growing up or as we move along in life, especially specific generations, that we're supposed to just like speak when we're spoken to, or when we're children. Children are supposed to be seen and not heard, or, humble yourself, or don't toot your horn, all these different things, right? And then
Mhm.
also some of the people that I worked with and had session with, they actually had, they were in danger when they were seen, that they were kept quiet or less seen. Like it would mean they were physically safer in different circumstances in their life. Or even one woman had a job that was like, nobody could know who she was because she was like high up doing some secret, whatever
Yeah.
stuff, And so
Yeah.
there's different things playing in the background that if we don't pull them up into the forefront, we won't know when that's actually what's stopping us, not the excuse the smoke screen, I call it, that we've said, oh, well, I don't understand YouTube. It's like you go and you press upload and
Right.
send, like, what don't you understand? And you
Yeah.
make how much money, and you're running, like, you are full of BS right now. You and I both know it. Like, look me in the eye. Like,
Yeah.
really? Come on now. So it's
Yeah.
all stuff that's running, right? Even if it's, oh, it's so much, there's so many things. So hire someone like me, or go and get an assistant and have them upload it. You know what I mean? Like whatever the case may be, now there's tools where you can do one video and put it across multiple, like you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So we have access to all the answers, even when it comes to dating. It's the things that I talk about with my clients about getting seen and being visible, and what's stopping us from getting in front of these cameras is literally the things that are playing in the back of our head. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like we have access to all the answers right now. You and I growing up, we would have to go to the library and like go through these long index cards, right? And like find like one answer. Like you'd be in the library for these little projects for like a week. When now we'd answer that project in 5 minutes on the internet. So when people tell me they don't know, I'm like, come on now. You're not ready yet. You ain't ready. Not ready.
And I think too, it's almost like an avenue into some major healing. Like if I'm willing to say, okay, it's not about that I can't figure out tech. There really is, like, I have a perfectionist thing going on, or I have this thing, like you said, when I was young, I was told to be seen and not heard and all of that. It's such an avenue or if I even just identify myself as introverted, right? It's such an avenue into being able to find the healing and allow myself to step out in a way that is vulnerable and is connective. And that's what you want if you want to be in a relationship. Now, if you're someone who doesn't want to be in a relationship or get seen or, run a business or anything like that,
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you are someone who, wants to connect with people, it's like, here's an opportunity for some healing. And like you mentioned, getting somebody to support you, someone like you who's like a get seen person, someone like me who's like a love mindset person, like, talk it through with someone, because we're in a day and age where being able to interact on camera is really, really valuable.
Right. And just how you show up on camera too, Candace, like how you are positioning yourself on camera is important in dating. So the last time I was exploring apps, dating apps, because when I was in my 20s and 30s, or not 30s, my 20s, I was doing the dating app thing, like eHarmony and these other things. Right. And so I was doing it for like a different purpose. I was, let's go and see this person, that person. Like I wasn't worried about getting married or whatever, right?
Like casual dating.
And yeah, it was just having fun. And so basically, I remember like how many pictures and how many accounts I would just pass, because there was no intention behind it. The pictures, they would be just like, I couldn't see what they really looked like, or they were like things cropped weird, or it's not even like that they were like doing weird stuff, which there's that too, like holding a fake ones, like, or things like that. But it's just like, and just all these different things where it just wasn't intentional. Like you weren't asking one of your female friends or sisters or whatever, like, oh, do you think this looks good for this dating site? Right. You're just like putting it up. Right. And the same thing, I mean, I wasn't looking at the women's, but I mean, me as a woman, like I got a lot of responses, because like always, when I go on those apps, I get tons of responses because I put exactly like what I look like. And I put a nice photo, and I put different variations. I put 5 photos. Right.
Yeah.
And so I know when I'm ready, I'll get those responses, but will those responses have intention back? And that's what I'm looking for. Like, are you going to share like what's your purpose that you're dating for? And do our purposes match? Right. Things of that nature. So you have, and then, misspellings and stuff used to bother me because it was all over the place, but not so much that anymore. It's really just like you being clear about like what it is you're looking for. And that can show in the type of photos you use as well, right? If you're an animal person, I do like when people put animals, because, I love animals. So then I know that they do too, kind of thing, but then there's these other ones where they're using their dog, like, hey, I have a dog. And that's kind of like staged weird, So kind of, I think people should get opinions on things from their circles too, with all of that. If they don't have a coach.
Yeah. And what I love that you're pointing at is just that authenticity piece. Because when I do dating profile audits, it's funny that you say 5 pictures too, because I give them the 5 different types of pictures. But, it's such a good litmus, because I think the reason that you're able to discern whether someone's, reaching out to you with not the energy that you want is not just how they're being, but also like, what are they responding to? If I'm putting myself out there for real, and like you said, the 5 different pictures, different, me enjoying the different passions of my life or whatever, or the fact that I love animals. And then in my profile, I'm just who I am. You'll know when people reach out to you if they've actually looked at it all, if they're actually reaching out to you based on, but if you're putting out something that's like, you and your 50 other girlfriends, and maybe there's one other picture that's kind of fuzzy, and then it's like, the slight hiding that people do when they don't feel comfortable with it. It's really hard to discern whether the people reaching out to you are being authentic and honest as well. Whereas, the more
Yeah.
authentic we are, the easier it is to discern whether we're dealing with someone who's authentic, right? Yeah.
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 It's a
That's so
valuable it's a valuable piece of it, I think, to, especially for those who are introverted or who feel resistance around dating and dating apps, to understand that the more real we are when we express ourselves and put ourselves out there, it's like a muscle. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and you get more and more comfortable with it. It doesn't mean you have to tell all of your secrets, but that willingness to just be who you are is part of what attracts, people that align with who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
All
love
right, give
that.
me another marketing tenet. What's another one that you tell people?
Let me think of an important one that I share with people. Hmm. You know, I think it's important for us to be visible in multiple ways. So,
Mm,
like a lot of times, our mind wants to like just go to one thing, and we attach ourselves to something that a person that we maybe admire or we're enjoying consuming their information, or they're in our lives at some point in time. We're like, oh, that's working for them, so that's what I'm going to do.
yeah,
And so, like me personally, I love to strategize and think of individually, like what someone's needs are, what are my individual needs, wants, and desires, what are their individual needs, wants, and desires, and what are the different avenues that complement that person in that moment in time. And so, like you mentioned Beyonce earlier, she's great at marketing, obviously, right? But does
mhm,
that mean that we can market or should market like Beyonce? No, we are not Beyonce, right?
right.
So we need to find like what marketing looks like for Candace and what marketing looks like for Leilani. But for me, like I have a desire to meet someone through the work I do and also to meet someone randomly in person. And just like I want both. I want to see what I like better, what's more fun, better. So when I dip back into the dating pool, like I am going to be putting myself out there more online in the world that I live in, people in like in my similar career field, but
Yeah,
also in person. So maybe I get on dating apps, or maybe I go out more locally and go to certain places, so that's what I think it would look like dating. And then as far as marketing, I share with my clients on how to be out there on multiple different spaces. If you are a Facebook person and that's all you do, then why are we not looking at a tool where we can be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube,
yeah,
Pinterest, all of these different places? Your clients or your future honey or whatever could be on those places too. And
yeah.
maybe you guys have all the same dreams, wants, and desires, but you won't leave Facebook, or you won't leave Instagram, or you won't go to the grocery store. You're just going to go to the movies. Like, mix
Yeah,
it up a little bit,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and put
yeah.
yourself there.
Go ahead, say that again.
And mix it up a little bit and really put yourself out there, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I totally agree with that, and I love what you said about it, even with the in real life stuff. Like, I think sometimes, first of all, it's important to be engaged in the things you're passionate about, right? And so whether it's just your mundane things like going to the grocery store or things like that, but also, like, are you someone who loves bowling or karaoke?
Yeah,
Are you going and doing
I love
those things?
karaoke.
Right? I love me too. I
Side
love karaoke.
and I'm a horrible singer. I feel sorry for who dates me when we go karaokeing.
What, say that again?
I said I feel sorry for who takes me on a karaoke date.
But here's the thing, your person is gonna love every note you sing, even if it's off.
I tell people I sound like that bird from The Little Mermaid.
That's what karaoke is for, right? Karaoke is not for coming in
Thank
being like,
you.
Jennifer
Thank
Hudson.
you. When some of these people who get up there and blow and make me feel some kind of way.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I love what you're saying. Like it's that authentic engagement in a lot of different things, and increasing your visibility, but not because you're putting it out there on a shelf, but because you enjoy different things and you want to be engaged in those things, because that's what you're going to be doing with your person, right? Whether in
Mhm.
real life or online. It's like be in multiple places. And I know people resist that because, like you said, what's really going on is there's a mindset thing that's like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to put the wrong picture, all of that stuff. Everybody has that stuff going on in their head,
Yeah.
right? But we're in a day and an age where in order to meet a lot of people or meet different people, we got to be willing to be um varied in our visibility, like
Yeah.
varied in where we show up. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
You
that's
know
what
what's
I mean, that
wild?
totally overlaps marketing and dating.
Totally
Yeah.
overlaps. Totally
Yeah.
overlaps. I feel like with most things, and I don't know if this is a side note or what, but I'm just thinking it. So I'm gonna say it. I feel like people need to get tired. Like I feel like I am like tired of like, okay, this is just me going through life as just me, right? And of course, I
Yeah.
have family, my dad, my son, my cousin, everybody in my life, right? But I want a partner, right? I feel like when we
Mhm.
really get down to it, when we really know that we really want this and we want our person, then we get to put ourselves in a self-reflection like space
Mhm.
and a self-awareness space of what is the disconnect to why we don't have it, and we kind of figure that out, right? But until
Yeah.
then, we collect these stories of why this didn't work, or men are this way, or women are that way, and everyone's evil and everyone's bad, and you can't find that person. And it's just like, no, you haven't gotten tired yet. Because I'll tell you this much, I don't think
Right?
sometimes I'm like, what do I need to tweak? What did I do? And the dating experience gets better, or at
Yeah.
least I'm less like salty about anything because I could see, oh, that's why that didn't match, and be cool, like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that tired piece you're talking about, it's a very natural stage to be at, mainly because, and I say this all the time, our whole purpose for being here is to become unconditional and to connect with love. There's
Mhm.
no other reason. I mean,
Mhm.
like we can theorize. Everything that we do is about connection and love. Every, move that we make is about connection and love, whether it's taking care of ourselves or taking care of someone else
Oh,
or starting a business, right? And so that tired stage is the stage where, as a human being, you say to yourself, I can walk around like the lone wolf, independent, super person that I've been for the past, however long. I can keep going that way, but there's this missing because I'm not allowing myself to have that part of my life. Right.
mhm.
And I always say, like, with the caveat that there's nothing wrong with being single. Like, we all need a single stage. I
Mhm.
actually think it's the healthiest thing in the world to be an adult who can say, I can be single for a minute
Yes.
and be okay with it.
Mhm.
But, sooner or later, that stage comes where it's like, and I think it happens to both men and women and, all genders in between. Like, we get to a human stage where it's just like, I need to be seen, heard, loved, and accepted. And I need unconditionality. I need to be able to have the peace of knowing someone has my back. We're belonging creatures. We're social
Mhm.
creatures, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. StreamYard's saying I could stream this to my audience. Should I stream this to my audience?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Yeah,
Okay.
you definitely can. While you're doing that, Kaisha says the types of apps we are on also matter to the type of men who reach out. That's real. You get what you pay for. In my experience, the free apps offer men who want to play games, but the paid apps offer men who are more intentional. I can see how that's true. Like, it's that I always say people put their money where their emotions are, and we tend to put our money where things where it's something that we find important, right? So I wouldn't say that the free apps are completely devoid of any value, because I actually met my partner on Facebook dating app, crazy enough, and that, they usually consider that the murkiest pool out there. But I do agree, Kaisha, that there is something to be said for a man's willingness to invest in finding a partner. Now, that doesn't guarantee that he's intentional about being committed necessarily, but your odds, I think, are higher when you're on a paid dating app
Mm.
of meeting somebody who also has the same intentions that you do.
Right.
Because it's too easy for the guys who, the fuck boys and stuff like that, to just sign up and,
Yeah.
do whatever. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
have tricks around that when it comes to discernment. Like, I call them tricks. They're not really tricks, but, you know, uh, there's a certain power in when we, like we were talking about earlier, we're in our authenticity around things and just are
Mhm.
saying compassionately what's on our mind, being exactly who we are. It's almost like discernment is built in. So you really could almost go anywhere. And with
Mhm.
that discernment built in, you being you, you're going to know who's going to align with that or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It becomes
I
very
feel like
evident.
it's so tiring to not be yourself
Yeah.
that I'm just I don't have the energy.
Right.
I don't want to find the energy to not be
Yeah.
myself. And you're talking about, the alignment with or where marketing meets dating. You not being yourself is going to send the message to your undesired client. And
Yeah.
the same thing goes for dating. And so it's kind of like why would you not be yourself? Because when you get in
Yeah.
those one-on-one meetings, you're not going to want to sit there for an hour and not be yourself,
Yeah.
so why let it get to that stage in anything, I'm not with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that that's something that comes with, you're in the game long enough, you start to realize you get having a couple bad relationships long enough, you start to realize, I was having a conversation with some women, I would say like about a month ago around Thanksgiving. We were at a Friendsgiving and the women were, talking about like how to present and, how to be this, how to be that. And I had to sort of like pause the conversation because I think a lot of times as women, we think, especially as younger women, that what we're trying to do is live up to somebody else's expectation or somebody else's desires. And
Yeah.
we've been taught to think that way as women. Like,
Mhm.
meet the male desire. When you do your profile, make sure that, you look sexy enough or, that you are putting it out there in a way that a man would be attracted to. And the reason that I think that that's so counterintuitive, besides the importance of just being yourself, is that first of all, there is no, like, it's so subjective. Like if you're trying to
Mhm.
meet up to someone else's desire and what someone else desires is so subjective.
Mhm.
And like you said, if I show up in the way that I know that men are attracted to, like if I make sure my boobs are out and do all those things, and I'm there, I got nothing against looking pretty. I'm a glamour girl myself. I like to look pretty, do my hair and
My
all that
boobs are
stuff.
a little out. She's like, "Oh wait,
Right?
your boobs are out."
Right? My boobs are out a lot of
I like
times.
my
Like,
boobs to be out. So this is
right?
like
Exactly, and that's the
this
that's the
totally
thing,
makes
like
sense for me.
if your boobs are out and your hair is straightened, and
Yeah.
that's because that's who you are,
Mhm.
then good, because then you're gonna attract, like, if that's what you're into, great. But if
Yeah.
you're feeling like you have to do that in order to attract, then it's like you're sabotaging yourself.
You so
Or if you're
are.
feeling like you have to, sound a certain way or present certain things in your profile,
Mhm.
just like marketing, I think, it's like
Mhm.
you'll attract that undesirable client. You'll attract that undesirable person who's going to, first of all, expect you to always do whatever that is.
Yeah, because that's what
Right?
attracted them. Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think you're talking about essence too, because we are the way we like, if there is nobody we're trying to attract in the picture, but we are in a day where we're feeling feminine and we are really feeling ourselves and we want to be attractive just for us, right? And
Mhm.
we go out, maybe like again, the grocery store keeps coming up for me, right? Maybe we go out to the grocery store looking really cute,
We go there a lot.
we're wearing our
Yeah.
good everything, and that's the way we feel the most attractive. That's an expression of ourselves, the way we like
Mhm.
it. Some women like to wear earrings, some don't. Some of us like to do our hair this way or that way, and it changes day by day. But whatever the case may be, how we, adorn ourselves or do our makeup or don't do our makeup, how we make ourselves up and present ourselves at what we feel is our prettiest in that day or in that moment is an
Yeah.
expression of ourselves. So when we attract someone in that moment, that is the person who's attracted to that form of expression and the way that
Yeah.
we've expressed ourselves.
Yeah.
So yes, we absolutely should want to look beautiful and wonderful and all these things for our partner, but it starts with ourselves, because that is our true partner that is attracted to how we feel we're attractive.
Right.
Because they're like, "Ooh, I like that." And they might not even know why they like that, but you are digging yourself so much and you put effort in. And that's the thing that I've noticed that like men really appreciate. They just want us to put effort, like into showing them like we want to look beautiful for them, you know? And I love that, you know, but am I going to you know, dye my hair till my hair falls out for you? No. You know, that's not my thing, you know? But yeah.
There's also what comes up for me as you're saying that too, is there's also what we allow for ourselves as far as how we see ourselves as beautiful, meaning that like, you know, in those 5 pictures, let's say on a dating profile, I always, you know, when I do the dating profile audit, I always say you got to have a picture that's each picture should represent the different people you are, right? And by different people, I just mean like how you look one day or how you look most of the time, and you know, one when you're dressed up, like represent yourself. Like, what are they getting if they're in relationship with you? And I think that the understanding that when we find beauty and pleasure in ourselves, like with when I had a dating profile, when I met my partner, there was a picture of me, you know, in a head wrap. There was a picture of me completely bald, because you know, sometimes I'm completely bald. There's a picture of me sweaty after yoga, and there's a picture of me all glammed up looking like Black Barbie. Like, you're going to get all of these. You know, and I think that the key to that, because a lot of times when I do the audit, I'll have women kick back and say, well, I'm not putting a picture up with me, you know, when I haven't done my twist out. I'm not putting a picture up with me and I have no lipstick on. And I'm like, put that picture up, because the one that's true, the one that really is interested in you as a human being, wants to see all the different facets of you.
Yeah.
And if he were to look at you without your hair done and be like, I can't be with that, how are you going to wake up with him every morning? How are you going to go to bed with him every night if you know, if him seeing that initially right off the bat is like horrific, right? I think that gone are the days where, you know, in the 50s, 60s, and even 70s, where you always have to be presenting some sort of picture of perfection, because that's not real life, right? And that expectation that here's what you're going to get, all the time, is part of what starts to deteriorate a relationship, not just because of what you look like, but because you promised me this, that, and the other, and now I got this. And that's just one of those many ways that can happen.
Yeah. You know what came up for me while you were talking about that too, is that I have been in this, like, I've always been talking and observing like couples that have been married, and their marriage is not just long, because sometimes people stay married for a long time and people applaud, but they hate each other. Those are just two people who
My parents
don't want to be embarrassed about a divorce. Like, that is something to just, I don't want no part of that.
Right?
Like, okay. But I do want to get married only
50
one
years
time
of
in my
misery.
life, right? Yeah, I do want to get married only one time in my life. And so that's why I'm like always like having conversations and observing like happy married long-term couples. And the number one thing I notice is they are best friends. And so when you're with your best friend sees all sides of you, and you want to have fun. You want to like have slumber parties with your best friend and jump on the bed and act goofy and whatever. Like you want to go and just do fun stuff, you know, you go rowing on a boat when it tips over. Like, I don't know, like, whatever the case may be.
Right.
I feel like the way I'm talking, I'm going to attract some goofy dude.
But you might be right, exactly what you need, right?
I think probably. So I'm goofy, but you get what I'm saying. Like you want to be with your best friend, and that's someone you'll ride with in the tough times. That's what they share with me. They're like, when I'm not in love with this person, it doesn't matter, because that's my best friend. So they can like find their way back with the love part, and also be loyal and never do the person dirty or whatever, because that's their best friend. So with your best friend, you're gonna look different ways in front of your friend and feel like you can,
Yeah.
So
That's also what fosters that genuine like. I love what you're saying because, like my parents were that. They were together for 50, 55 years. I'm
oh
50, so 55 years, but they couldn't stand each other.
oh that's another kind of oh sorry.
But like until my mom passed away in 2022, and of course now my dad speaks fondly. But for the
Mm,
most part, they were very loyal to each other. I mean, obviously they were
mhm.
committed to the long term, committed to the staying. But what
Yes.
you're saying is so true about the best friend part, because that liking, and I notice like a lot of women will complain on social media, especially on TikTok, that men don't like women. Right. And I
Mm,
don't think that that's necessarily true. I think it's a sweeping generalization. It's that the relationships that we've seen modeled for us, likability wasn't important. Like whether I like you or
right.
not wasn't a priority. It was, are you a provider? Are we doing all of the traditional gender roles and all of that? But we have an opportunity in this day and age where we can actually focus on whether we do like somebody and
Exactly.
allow someone to see us enough that they can get to know and like us as well. Because that like piece is so, so important
Mm-hmm.
for the exact reason that you mentioned, because you can have a sustainable relationship for decades and be completely miserable in it, or you can keep having one after another that's not working because what you're hoping for is some idea of falling in love and romance and things always being perfect, which it doesn't work, at least not in
No.
any long-term way.
Mm-hmm. Not at
Yeah.
all. Not at
Yeah.
all.
Oh, honey,
Wow.
this
This is
this
fun.
hours.
Thank
It
you. I
is.
know. I'm like, are we up on time? What? Because I could just talk to you forever. I'm like,
Right?
I almost got the keeping time.
The hour just like whips by. I try to like, sometimes I let it go over because the chit chat is fun and things like that. But I also try to have time integrity because I'm like, I don't know who's at work and they're just, doing the lunchtime thing. You can always come back,
Yeah.
obviously, if we run over. But what was another question that I wanted us to bring up? Okay, so we talked about uh uh some of the marketing parallels, the getting seen, the visibility, like getting out there, being in the different places, like being
Mhm.
yourself in those different places. What was the other one that we talked about?
We talked
There's another
about,
one.
yeah, we talked about the internal stuff and the going and being seen in different ways.
Yeah,
So, like the internal blocks, or no, we shared how you need to get on camera.
yeah.
So, yeah. Um,
What was the one after that though? Because the getting on camera was about visibility and being seen.
we've got seeing everyone or being seen in multiple avenues. So don't have a one track brain, and
Yeah,
and everything. Like I like to always constantly remind anyone anytime I have a platform that's given to me, like for people to go back within instead of without. I
yeah.
mean, it doesn't mean you can't have coaches. You have coaches, but you listen to different things they say, and you take what resonates from within. Right, that your source
Mhm.
is God within you, like
Yeah,
speaking to you all day long if you listen, right? And so I
yeah,
think that a lot of times when we're going without, the society tells us it's this or that. You know,
yeah,
your options are this or that, and nobody is understanding nuance these days. Nobody understands like all different things. Like that's why like I don't like to tell people that I just meet so much about me because they put me in
mm,
a box. They put me in a
mm,
box instantly, what that means for them
yeah,
about me. And it's a survival mechanism to figure it out. Like, oh, okay, you're this age. Like, how old are you? You're this age. Oh, well, this means XYZ about you. You don't know
mm,
anything about me and my
yeah,
experience at my age. I could operate like an 80-year-old or a 20-year-old or whatever. Like, you
yeah,
don't know nothing about me or my history. You find out my nationality, you find out my ethnicity, you find out my this or that, and you automatically say, thank you. Now I know XYZ,
yeah,
because we are told to be like one track, this or that. No.
yeah. Define
So
everything.
yeah, define. We need a
Yeah,
definition or to stay safe and be okay. And no, we know, we know. No, you don't
yeah,
know. Let's
yeah,
just chill out, enjoy the process, listen to yourself along the way, and go and be out there. And I love that you're talking about this because it's like so important for us to really get out there. And this is all aligned. And that's why I think I'm really going to I told my friend the other day, I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to find, or the person's going to find me, we're going to find each other through these like networking circles of like what I do for a living. I've tried for a while to date people who have no understanding of what I do. In the past, when, before I took this long dating hiatus, I tried to have a so-called like dating experience with someone who didn't understand anything about like what I do on social media. And I'm not talking about one person, I'm talking about like I was dating people in general
Yeah.
who, they do something different, outside of the public eye per se.
Yeah.
And it was just it didn't work for me. And so I'm not, but see, a lot of people would say, well, so you can't ever do that again. No, I say I would like to try. I would like to like call in something different because I feel, but I'm not closed off to somebody else learning that side of me in the way that I want it to be,
Yeah. You know
yeah.
what I would say? I would hazard to say, Leilani, based on what you're saying about the meaning making, you are someone who gets that the meaning to be made is not worth it, because you can't just make up assumptions based on what you've known in the past, right? Like whatever
Mhm.
you think a 40-year-old is, if you make it up that a 40-year-old can only be this, then that's all you're going to experience, right? I totally
Mhm.
believe in that. And the fact
Yeah.
that you are in awareness around that, it's going to be really important for you to align with someone, and you will, who also feels that way, which means that you're going to have to communicate and operate in that way. Like you're going to have to be telling your stuff, because somebody who, when you told them your age, would say, oh, well, you got such and such, he's not your man.
Mm-mm.
He's not
Mm-mm.
it. So you want to be able to
Mhm.
to have that be your litmus. Like when I'm just myself
Mhm.
saying exactly who I am, if he
Yeah.
can't be with it because he's making up a story, he
Yeah.
ain't it. Because your
Yes.
man is
Yes.
like, oh, so what does
Yeah.
44 look like for you?
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes, and it's yes, and to
Yeah.
your point, I think it's the context in which they ask,
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
context. I had these 4 ladies who, when I was, serving their table, one of my past jobs, I was a server, right? I was serving their table, and, I was standing there and, they were just laughing, laughing, laughing because I'm funny when I want to be, when I feel
Yeah.
funny, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're laughing, having a good time. I'm getting them. I'm just the best server ever. And mid laughter, they're like, "You're funny. You're awesome." And then she goes, "What are you?"
Ooh.
And then I looked at her and I said, "I'm ethnically ambiguous." I did a quick smile and walked off like, "You're not going to get that answer from me, lady, because I know why
Yeah.
you're asking it. You
Yeah.
really need to know if you like
Yeah.
me and why you like me and if it's okay you like me. You need to know all that right now. Context,
Yeah.
right? So that's another thing. It goes back to people understanding like nuance
Yeah.
and all these things, and yeah.
And the meanings
Mhm.
we make. We're meaning making
Mhm.
machines for sure.
Right? We must tell ourselves some stories.
Right? So now, speaking of that question, because I ask all of my guests as we're, we've already like blown through an hour like it was nothing, right? Um, and it's gonna seem like it's a segue. I always say this, but it always ties back into whatever we're talking about. Tell me, what is your favorite thing about being a woman of color?
I feel like I understand and see things that only a woman of color gets to understand and see. So I feel like
Mm,
I got some like insights, and I
yeah,
feel like I have opportunities um in that, and yeah, I feel like there's this opportunity to really understand on a deep level different people and why they do what they do.
mm,
So yeah, that's what comes to me right now.
yeah. I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you, my sweetheart.
Thank you.
This has been a wonderful chat. If there is anything that you want people to definitely walk away with as far as our whole conversation around marketing and dating, if it's the one thing that they walk away knowing, what would you want that to be?
I want them to walk away with the fact that even in our worst space and being and lack of understanding of, you know, who we are. We you know, the fact still remains that we all are a piece of the puzzle in this world, whether we are in a moment in time, whether we see it or not, right? Or whether we really see it, we just don't know how to share it. So we need to get out, or we get to get out and start beginning to share what we know and how we can serve, because that's how you learn, through activity, not through studying and thinking and all of that. You learn and you just show up. And so I think it's important that we all commit to showing up more. And yeah, I deeply believe in showing up
Yeah.
for ourselves and for others.
Awesome. Awesome. Kaisha said, this was a great conversation. Thank you for the session. Thank you, Kaisha, for being with us and engaging with us. I want everyone to know where to find you and who you work with, what you do for them, you know, if you give links or where you want people to contact you, I'll make sure to put them on the screen when I edit later. But let everybody know, who do you work with, what do you do for them, and how can they find you?
Oh, well,
I know I'm like fire hosing you with.
No, I just, you know how sometimes you're just really enjoying yourself, and I'm like, oh, I was just thinking on your toe, oh, I really had a good time, and then my mind went off into La La Land, and then I'm like, and then it's like my turn to talk. Oh, great! But I heard what you said. So I am Leilani Wells. I do visibility and marketing with my clients. I do that on a one-on-one basis. I do it through my Get Seen membership. And right now, the biggest and most exciting thing for me, if I'm being honest, is my, like, I'm always honest, but you know what, you get what I'm telling you, content experiences. So content experiences is when I fly to you and we get 6 months to a year's worth of content, depending upon how camera ready you are. And we help you figure out how to go ahead and position that so it's running throughout the year for you, so you can get seen. So these are the you know, and I do our company does some done for you work as well. And then you can find me at leilaniwells.com. For every place to find me is my website. And my name is spelled Leilani. So just think the flower from Hawaii is Lei, and then Lani, the note La. Okay, so Leilani, spell my name right, you'll find me. Or at Instagram and all the other places at Leilani M. Wells. And I'm looking forward to connecting with whoever resonates with me.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, my sweetheart. This has been a fantastic conversation. Hopefully you'll come back again.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you. Yeah. Maybe you'll get me a man.
Right. Well, it's what I do. So you know. People are around me long enough, they always get one. So we'll work it out. Also, too, you should come in and visit. You know, I have my group membership that's starting in January. So maybe you should come in and visit and talk to the ladies, because a lot of them are entrepreneurs and business owners as well, and talk about what you do. I mean, I definitely am going to be using this podcast within the group so they can have an understanding, because there's people out there that marketing is important and dating is important. And I feel like this is a good conversation for them to be in on.
Yeah. Well, if I can make a difference, I'm happy to.
Yeah, thank you so much, my love. All right, so I'm going to put you backstage. Don't go anywhere just yet. And I'm going to sign off with everybody. Thank you so much, lovely Leilani. Bye now. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Like I said before, if you want to comment later on, we definitely will interact with you, answer any questions you may have if you're watching us later on. And also, I don't want you to forget about my Meet Your Bae by New Year's Day 5-day challenge. The doors are now open and it starts on Tuesday. If you're listening to this on the Friday before Christmas. If you're listening to this later, you've already missed the boat. If you're listening to this after the new year, you have missed the boat, because it's Meet Your Bae by New Year's Day. It's a 5-day challenge. Doors are now open. Go to bit.ly/Meet Your Bae New Year's Day. I'm going to be sharing what I call the 5 magic seeds for planting a tree of love. It's a free 5-day live challenge for single professional women of color who are all about our soft girl era and want a healthy partnership where we are seen, heard, accepted, and loved, and want to have an amazing time creating it all in a supportive, exclusive sisterhood. These sisters are the real deal. So you want to be involved, because when we support each other as a community, we get a lot more and a lot better than when we're out there lone wolfing it, trying to get it by ourselves. Sign up now. The doors won't be open for long. Like I said, the challenge is from December 26th, 2023 to December 30th. Every day we go live, every day we get together, and there's a private exclusive group that you get to be a part of. And it's all free, so don't mess around. bit.ly/meet your bae New Year's Day. And that's it, my sweethearts. Until next time, keep being unapologetically lovable and give yourself grace. I love you so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye now.